Okay, must have looked a little bit weird, but my computer was in God knows what kind of delay. Good evening, everyone. Good afternoon, everyone. Good morning, everyone, wherever you come from. It's the second live stream and not so many people around today, but that's normal, I guess. I just want to say hi to everyone who's there right now. That's your help last week. Who else do we have there in the chat? That's Uwe in Hamburg. I still received your question. It was a bit late, but I still got it. Sorin Bogde, hi. Eric Bischoff, bonsoir. It's nice to see some people again. Just before I get started, I saw your snow comments there. I'm completely snowed in here. During last night, I got half a meter of snow on my balcony, and the same is outside. Everything is a very quiet Sunday today. And we will have some problems as well tomorrow, because we are right in the middle of the snow track. But so it's easier to have a live stream then, except the fact that I can see myself only with buffering. I hope you don't have some, because the internet here is a little bit stressed, although I do have glass fiber here. Oh, Dano, what did you do? Nightbot is very picky today, I guess. But let's start with some of the questions. I had questions sent in again via the comments under the post on my YouTube channel. Whenever I do a live stream, I try to do this regularly on Sundays at 6 p.m. CET. I will put it up on my community tab, and under that you can write questions then. Valerio Tarantino, thanks for your super chat. Always very good topics. Go on, Mark. Thanks, Valerio. I guess you are from Italy? Correct me if I'm wrong. So the first question I received that way, but that was via Patreon. Do you see any reason why the SNP couldn't hold a referendum without support from London? A non-binding referendum like Brexit. But if they get a clear result, wouldn't that put pressure on the Tories? Well, it's a little bit complicated. It's buffering. That's not so nice, but I'm sorry, but that's the snow probably. Some parts of the area do have some trouble with power, and it might be that some parts of my provider has some disruptions there, and so it might be a little bit more problematic today. We are right in the middle of quite catastrophic snow pieces there. No, Uwe, it's not the internet wires, it's the power supply, I guess, because in some parts of the Münsterland, that's the name of the region where I'm there, they do have complete power outages there. But let's get back to the SNP. The problem with that question is I haven't read the contract where they joined hundreds of years ago, where they joined together. And if that contract doesn't contain anything that doesn't allow them to do that, of course they can hold a non-binding referendum. I don't know if anyone would be able to forbid that, because I'm quite sure that London, a non-binding referendum is nothing like more than an opinion poll, to be honest. The matter there is the finances for doing that. Do they need the approval from London to finance the referendum? If yes, they can't do it. But that's going that much into details of the law. I'm not a lawyer. I know quite a lot. I've got a lot of experience with politics, but I'm not that far into the very detailed UK law in the last, especially with a non-written constitution. That's the biggest problem there. With a written constitution, you can just have a look and get your answers, but with the non-written constitutions, it's that complicated to find any details that if there are small hints like this for the financing of a referendum, for example, it's hard to find if you're not a lawyer. But yeah, Katrina says Scotland has a written constitution, England does not. Yeah, but the UK does not. That's the problem. And this is a matter of the UK and not just Scotland. And there you have trouble finding stuff like this. That's why probably the courts will have to deal with this. I'm always making my videos one day earlier for the next day. So I don't know. It must be the video for tomorrow. I made a video on a decision of a Scottish court about this fact and what they decided, but I won't spoil that now. But it will go back to the courts as after the elections in May. So from my personal point of view, I think they could do it. If the financing is no problem, of course they can do it. It's just like making a poll. And if there's, but what does it help? If in case of the Brexit referendum, the party said, whatever comes out, even if it's non-binding, we will follow what is decided. And that's what the Tories did. And in that case, you really won't get the Tories to say whatever comes out of the Scottish referendum, we will allow what happened there. So I don't see a too big sense of this. Of course, it will put the Tories a little bit under pressure, but it will not have real consequences as long as this government is in charge. The next question was from P. Spence. Also for Scotland, I put them together a little bit. How long do you think it would take, or how easy would it be for Scotland to join the EFTA or customs union? That's a question which is very complicated to answer in detail, but to answer it in short, it wouldn't make any sense to try that. Because joining EFTA or the customs union takes quite some time as well. It's not even clear that anyone will be, except the ones who are already member, being allowed to be in EFTA. There never was a decision about making it bigger. It is kind of a repair for some countries who didn't fully want to join, but the EU wanted to have close cooperation because they are close or right in the middle of the EU. And the same is with a part of the customs union. If you refer, for example, to the fact that Turkey is part of the customs union, Turkey is partly part of the customs union, only with industrial goods, but not with agricultural products, not with services, and a lot of other things are excluded. So in my personal view, that does not make any sense. And with the EFTA question, you always mean, can they be part of the EEA, the European Economic Area? That usually is for members, as you know. And usually only for the territory of the EU. That these EFTA states are part of it is a really big exception. And I don't think that the EU is quite willing to make many more exceptions. And of course, the time it takes, it doesn't make sense. In the case of Scotland, Scotland is so closely aligned to the EU at the moment. And possibly when they should be independent, if that happens, they will still be very closely aligned with all the regulations of the EU. In that case, it's fast and yeah, Uwe, yeah, that's hair splitting. Turkey isn't a member of the customs union, but they have a bilateral treaty with the customs union, with the EU. Yeah, but you have to explain it in a way that people will understand it. You can't make it too complicated. That's why I'm trying to evade EEA and EFTA here at the moment as well. I studied law, but I'm not a big fan of the hair splitting that I learned in my first semester. So it would be much easier and faster for Scotland just to apply to the EU. That's my answer to that one. Then I have one of a lot of questions from Amadeus. Who do you think will join the EU first, Serbia or North Macedonia? We have several candidates at the moment that want to join the EU, and Serbia and North Macedonia are two of them. I don't know why you picked that question, and because it's if you look at the state where both countries are at the moment, Serbia and North Macedonia, it's quite clear that it's most probable that Serbia, of course, will be the first new member, because Serbia is already in the process, and the negotiations with Serbia are going on at the moment. North Macedonia has not even started that, because as well as Bulgaria, as the Netherlands, vetoed that last year, and so that hasn't even properly started yet. And so it's most probable that Serbia will be the first one to join. But I must say, before the EU should have any other country join, they have to work on some reforms and on some problems that is there at the moment. And so before that happened, I really wouldn't think it's sensible to have any of both countries to join the EU before they worked on some of their problems. And someone, I just recognized that now, someone earlier wrote it's casual Sunday today. Well, first of all, it's very cold outside. We have -6 degrees out there. And somebody asked me to wear one of my merch sweaters on a live stream. He wanted me to do this on the first one already, but delivery times are a bit longer during lockdown at the moment, so I only could wear it now, because when I design them, I also have to wait for them to be produced and delivered. And so you just can see there's a small one, like on my mug you all recognized in some videos already, and there's a big one on the back side. One of my viewers already sent me a number of nice photos with one of my hoodies. So then let's have a quick look there for some new guests. Oh, hi Killer. Haven't seen you since Tuesday. I liked Max's live stream there again. Enzo the God. Eric Bischoff. No, I had Eric before. But still, bonsoir. And what is that? Lartz 220469. And Amadeus is there. Yeah, I hope you heard me answering one of your questions just now. And then Uwe, I've got your question, but I had to shorten it. Some people sent me a bit longer stuff, so I only took out the questions and not all the explanations they sent with it. We are in the situation with the problems at the borders with the imports and exports at the moment, and Uwe sent me a question. Do you think the situation will normalize soon, or will it just get worse once the UK starts to implement own controls? And Uwe, to be honest, I'm first of all quite sure it will get worse, because with everything you hear, they have a few months to go still, but what you hear now, not everything is prepared for that. The number of customs officers they hired, of the 50,000 they said they need, is not anywhere near that number. And the IT system is still not up and running again, even if they copied a lot in Switzerland. Then I think a lot of more traffic from the continent to Ireland will go around the UK before that happens, because they don't want to be stuck in those problems that will happen from that moment on. At the moment, it's tough enough. I was on a call with some friends of mine in the UK, and they were discussing about sending birthday gifts and stuff like this at the moment. and with all the companies from Germany who don't want to send anything, or with the time it takes at the moment for some parts to be sent, we all agreed that we don't send anything at the moment and just wait how everything develops. And so many others and even a lot of companies do the same at the moment. And some UK companies, until their warehouses are really empty, I think they will wait a little bit longer before they order stuff on the continent again. And we heard that about several countries. And I'm quite sure as soon as the customs controls from the UK happen, it will get worse once more. And we must not forget, there's one point that people always say, when will this go away? Those checks and controls will never go away. The UK is a third country by their own wish. And that is not punishment by the EU. That is normal treatment for third countries. Those checks and controls have to be. And in this case, it will stay. And you can't get rid of that with just any additions to the TCA. And so it will never be the way it was before December 31st. Then let me have a quick look on the chat. Yeah, Dano, I had to set up a strict mod here. Nightbot is really harsh today. Okay. Supra sent me a question. Was there any plans the EU tried to push but were vetoed by the UK while they were members? And if so, will they be implemented now? The last time that happened in a, let's say, bigger way, that was in 2011 when David Cameron vetoed new plans or change of treaties regarding the Eurozone. But like in that case, in other cases, the other members just made direct contracts with each other on such topics to get around this, because they were fed up. And that's why Brexiteers always talk about the EU should have given the UK what David Cameron wanted, then there would have never been Brexit. Yeah, but that was not the point of the whole thing. The EU wanted to resolve some problems. The EU wanted to make reforms, which they still have to do. They wanted to get further, and the UK stopped them. And like in this case, the others just did it without them. In other cases, the UK opted out of things that the EU was doing. And that was something that was not supposed to happen again. That's why every new member has to take the whole package when they come in. That includes the euro for Scotland, by the way. And they always found a way around. And that's why there are not so many plans the UK vetoed that have to be worked on now. It's more that development of the EU that was planned for decades in the end, because there was a certain picture in the heads of everyone founding the EU in the first place. It never was just a trading bloc, as Brexiteers say. There was always a vision of a future, and to work on that vision where the EU should be in the future, even if it was named completely different that time, now they can do it better than with the UK as a member. That's quite true. I hope that was enough answer for you. And I know Sundays are always very complicated for Maximilian Robespierre to join us, and I haven't seen him today as well, so still greetings to Max. But Max sent me a question. With the news of Pfizer and others increasing the production of vaccines, do you think EU countries will catch up with the UK? So now we are at the vaccine topic, and it's used a lot by Brexiteers at the moment to smokescreen all the Brexit problems, because they want to sell this as their big victory at the moment. Why? Because they could do this outside the EU, which is all nonsense. They could have done it as an EU member as well. But still, the vaccine topic is a very fought over one at the moment. First of all, Pfizer, so BioNTech, as a German, I always say BioNTech because they're based here. It's a BioNTech Pfizer vaccine, and Moderna is also certified in the EU. For Pfizer and BioNTech, there is they are enlarging their factory in Belgium at the moment, and also there's a factory being built in Brandenburg in Germany where they will produce the vaccines in the future. So there will be more to come. Before I go into some details, I just want to say Chancellor Merkel said last week in an interview, if there's no other vaccine certified, and that included AstraZeneca that day, if even that doesn't come, we will have vaccinated everyone in Germany who wants to be vaccinated by mid-September. And first of all, that's fine for me. Last year, a year ago, when it all started, nobody would have believed that we would be vaccinating now at all. Second of all, there is not such a big difference between the vaccination in the UK and in Germany, for example. If you look a little bit closer. Yes, Brexiteers like to use the number that the last official one I could get was 10,021,471 people in the UK got their first shot. But as I said I think it was my last live stream as well in another video, getting the first shot is not the main thing, and we are very strict about the timing between the first and the second one. And if you just look at the first shot number, of course, as I said, UK more than 10 million, Germany 2,212,851. Yeah, that's far less, and we will pick up speed soon. In my state, for example, tomorrow the big vaccination centers will open and they will vaccinate many more people than before, but we only can give the people what we have. And it will take some time to get more vaccines, of course. But if you look at the people who got the second shot, in the UK of the 10 million, it's 498,962. In Germany, it's 903,271. So the UK vaccinated more than 10 million people with the first shot, but still, if you look at the people who were completely vaccinated and done with it, it's almost double the many people in Germany as in the UK. So, of course, I always use the statistics the way I like, and that's the same way that's happening there at the moment. And Mini Shemri, thanks for the super chat. Good evening, Mark and everybody. Question, do you know anything about Cadbury expanding their Munich plant, investing millions? I heard about that, but I haven't looked into that at the moment to go into detail and to make a video about this. So sorry for that one, but I heard about that too already, yeah. But I will have a closer look in that one, and I definitely will make a video on that if that's really true. There are some other rumors that they will move production capacities from the continent to the UK, but I can't answer that before I have looked at that more closely. But once again, to finish the question of Max, in case of the vaccination, we caught up with the UK. And so everything is not fine. There were mistakes made in some parts. There are different strategies, but as many people, and also Uwe, I don't know why Nightbot deleted that one now, but I saw it, said on in the comments under my videos already, the vaccination is not a sports. The pandemic will be over when we dealt with it all together. And when all the countries in the world dealt with it together, that's why the EU set up a scheme so that developing countries and the poorer countries can have access to the vaccines as well. And that's why we in Germany are not playing the sports, we're keeping everything for ourselves. Because where did the vaccine come from that the UK started with? From Belgium. It was BioNTech Pfizer, German-American vaccine produced in Belgium. So, congratulations. And it's nice to see that production everywhere is set up and that we can help each other. Like, for example, the German military once again sent staff to Portugal to help there because they are in bigger trouble than we are at the moment. And of course we help. That's the nice thing about the European Union. It's about solidarity. That's one of the key points of the European Union. Of course, sometimes the governments make it look very different, but for me, that is one major part of the European Union, the solidarity between the members. And I'm quite glad that our military, which I was a part of for quite some time, is helping out. Once again, they helped out in Italy and in other countries last year, and now they're helping out in Portugal. And nobody here complains about the costs or whatever, what it costs us to send them to Portugal. So I hope for my Portuguese viewers that our military is a help for you and that we can help you coping with the pandemic. I'm sorry for that one. Then I have another one from Mr. Sandman. Usually it's presented that the UK would need to rejoin the EU to solve the current chaos. But in reality, they could join the customs union and single market without doing that, right? Politically impossible today, but a faster and simpler way to get the economy back on track. To be honest, after they declined all that in the first place, I don't think they even could do that now. But first of all, Christopher Flack, thank you very much for that super sticker. Thank you. If I were the EU, with seeing everything that happened now, to be honest, I wouldn't let them in. And the single market and the customs union, that combination is really something for the members and not for third countries via some FTAs or something to get full access. The problem is that impossible today. There I agree with that government. They want to get away as far away from all the EU rules and regulations. If you join the customs union and the single market, you are completely in the rules and regulations again. They don't want that. Yeah, I'm sorry for the buffering, but I can't do anything about that. If you haven't been there earlier when I said this, we are in quite a snow catastrophe here, and it has effect on the power supply. Not mine, but probably from my provider in some places. And I will have to live with that. If it gets too bad, please write it, then we'll just keep it short today. But as I said, I have half a meter of snow in the last 12 hours on my balcony, and the streets look like this and everything. It's fun for the kids, by the way. And last time we had a very bad winter. I was living in the UK, and they all sent me the newspaper articles, because then here was complete power blockout and everything. No biff stiff, I don't need to buy an internet signal booster. First of all, I've got one, and second of all, I've got a glass fiber connection here. It's usually fast enough. Then I've got a question from Christian Kruse. If UK wasn't the hub for gold in the world, would UK even be a G7 country? First of all, Christian, I've got some more of your questions. You must be really a fan of gold with all the gold questions. But let's stick with this one. We know that the UK is a hub for gold in the world, but the G7 country, there is the issue. The G7 is not any official organ. The G7 is an unofficial club that joined together. Membership is only decided by the members of that club. That's why the G8 turned G7 when the trouble with Russia began. But it's not really about that some other country has more GDP than you do. First of all, G7 is only for the so-called developed countries. Developing countries that have more GDP, for example, than a G7 country will still not join the G7. They are invited to the G20, but not the G7, because that's just a club that was, I guess, if I remember correctly, it was the idea of France to do that. And even if the UK GDP, if you count out all the gold trade, they will not be kicked out. They're still one of the richer developed countries, and so they will be part of it. But the G7 is a fun thing. And this year, the host of the G7 summit is the UK. Then I have a question from the other side of the planet again, from Kauben Chelam. What's in it for the TPP countries? I assume that accepting the UK as a trading partner will come at the price of us buying enough to make it worthwhile for them. First of all, the TPP, the original TPP, is not there anymore, because when Trump decided not to take part, they changed it a bit, and now it's a CPTPP or the TPP 11. But the official one is CPTPP. That's with Canada, Australia, Brunei, Chile, Japan, Malaysia, Mexico, New Zealand, Peru, Singapore, and Vietnam. Well, if you look at this, how much sense that makes from a point of view of the UK. First of all, it's on the other side of the planet. How much trade do you have with them? And that I mean with export to them, not the import. There's a lot of import from there in the UK, but how much export is there? How much sense does it make for the CPTPP countries, especially from the ones directly in Asia, like Vietnam, most of all? Of course, that makes sense to let the UK in, to get their products produced in Vietnam completely tariff-free into the UK. They would love that. And a lot of clothing is produced in Vietnam and sent to the UK. And with Canada, Australia, yeah, that was just save them making new free trade agreements with them. If you look from the EU point of view on these countries, I think except Brunei and Chile, I'm not so sure, but I think it's Brunei and Chile, they have FTAs with all of them. And so you can have quite the same with just FTAs. Son of Viking, thanks for your super chat. A donation towards a new wind-up handle for your internet. Yeah, I start working on that one. No, but the TPP, they might like that, and Canada as well. It's of course only about tariffs and quotas and just minimal regulations. But the question is, do the UK really want stuff unchecked on minimal regulations into their country? That's a question the UK has to ask themselves. I'm glad that that the EU has proper trade deals with most of them, and where there's really clear what the standards are, what the quotas are, that you can't send everything just tariff-free, and I prefer that version. And the other thing is, I don't know if you saw the video on the transport at the moment via sea cargo. The prices for a sea container are 5 times higher now than before. So at the moment, how much companies can afford that? A lot of smaller ones are really in trouble at the moment, and so the SMEs in the UK wouldn't have anything from this, because they at the moment probably can't afford to ship anything there. Then I have a question from Dude, although once again he's not here. But still, that's a question I want to talk about quickly, although. He said, I've read that the UK has copied at least the EU-wide criminal database. Do you by chance know what else they copied before they lost access, and if there will be any repercussions for that? First of all, none of us knows what they really copied, because the answer from the EU on that one was, it's a confidential discussions that we have with the individual member states. And of course there are things no government and no institution will tell the public everything about. And that's one of these cases. We will never know what they really all copied. Those are rumors from some online magazines and stuff like that, but I haven't seen any proof for that, and there was no answer from the EU on what they really took. So we will never know, I'm quite sure, and if they copied anything else, we will know that either. And the repercussions, what does the EU want to do? Say that they broke the treaty? So the current treaty has not been broken, because it was something they did while they were still in the transition period, and yeah. I've got another question from Maya Joyce Paulus. Do you think the EU should try to promote one alternative for London as the main European financial center? In short, no, because that would be really interfering in the authority of the member states and into the businesses themselves. The businesses decide where they want to go. At the moment, they are mostly deciding between Dublin, Paris and Frankfurt. Before I answer this, thank you Leafbone for the super chat. £5 for the amount of personal grooming you got going. Yeah, the problem is that's what you look like after months of lockdown. You can't get a haircut since November here. And I'm really looking forward to get a haircut again, because the only thing I can do is glue everything back at the moment, because the hair looks terrible. But thank you for that one. So the financial center. No, the banks will decide themselves where they go. The insurers will decide themselves, and I'm absolutely of the opinion the EU should not interfere with the decisions, and the EU should not say this. Of course, the EU had their say as a whole where the European Central Bank will be placed. But where the headquarters of any bank in the UK will be, it's not their business. There is a limit how much state, and with that I mean the EU at the moment now, because it's the involvement with the governments, should interfere with business. The point of business and government is the government sets the general regulations for business. And inside these regulations, the governments have to stay out of the affairs of the businesses. Then I have another one from our gold friend Christian Kruse. Take away gold import-export, the share of the British trade with Europe is over 50% of the economy. Have the British government misled the public about the real trade numbers? Not really, because the gold trade is part of their trade. And so it belongs into the numbers. If you have a look on the trade figures on the official government websites, they are completely honest about this, what part of it is gold and what part of it is anything else, so they don't keep anything hidden. I had a look myself again, and they do publish everything separately. So I complain a lot about this government, but despite what some Brexiteers say, I'm not anti-UK, and I'm not bashing this government on purpose, just for the sake of doing that. No, in this case, the government is publishing the figures the way they are, and they're separating the gold trade from the rest of the trade. So if you want to know, you can know. Just go to the government websites. It's easy to find. So in this case, they did not mislead the public. That was just about the public. What did they want to know? Did they have a look or not? It's everything there. So in this case, no, I have to say they didn't. Okay, and they have another one I just quickly want to do as well. Still on the gold from Christian Kruse. A couple of years ago, Germany asked the US to get German gold back to Germany. What happened? Have Germany gotten its gold? Germany got part of it from New York back, and part of it from Paris back to Frankfurt. But first of all, that takes time. It is, of course, a dangerous transport as well, and so I wouldn't do this all at the same time. And so in New York we got 30% from New York, I guess. It was 60% from Paris. And they will continue to do so because there is a lot of criticism here to get this back. But something like this takes time, and I don't complain about this, that they haven't done it all. It's 7 years now when they started doing this, but I don't complain that they did this completely. Then there's another question from Amadeus. Do you think right-wingers tend to be more aggressive than left-wingers, both real life and online? And if so, why? First of all, generally right-wingers or left-wingers. Jonas, thank you for the super chat. I have to write that down for a second. I come to that right after this question. So first of all, in general, right-wingers or left-wingers are no problem at all. We have right-wingers and left-wingers in my own party. We have right-wingers and left-wingers generally in our federal government and in our federal parliament. But the extremists are the problem. The extreme right-wingers and the extreme left-wingers. And in this case, I must say, in real life, neither side is more aggressive than the other. I personally, of course, as a conservative, had more experience with the left-wing extremists that got aggressive, but that's just on the point of my own personal political views. If you follow what's happening in the country, for example, both sides are not... No side is worse than the other. They're both bad, and in both cases, I want our full force of our law to be used against them. They are criminals. When they destroy stuff, when they attack people, they are criminals, and I don't care if they are from the right wing or left wing. They are criminals and have to face the law. And I want our police and judiciary to treat them like that then. And the other part is online. Yeah, online, I must say, the extreme right-wingers are more active online, I must say. You see much more hate and stuff like this from the right wings at the moment. The left wingers more tend to do it in real life than online. But as I said, both sides are really bad. And I don't tolerate any of those extremists. Brigaud said, Mark, you have to admit that right-wingers in Germany are killing people. Yeah, left-wingers too. That's one again, I won't accept this. I hear this from a lot of political parties from the left spectrum all the time to say the right-wingers are worse. No, extremists are extremists. And I count... Thank you, Eric Bischoff. That was one of my examples I just wanted to bring. The RAF was a left-wing terrorist group. They killed a lot of people here in Germany. And I'm not making up numbers who killed more, the right wing or the left wing. As I said, they are all criminals. And they are, in that case, all terrorists. And they have to be dealt with by the full force of our law. Then enlargement EU asked something about the future of Germany. So that new guy who's replacing Merkel, is he something? First of all, Jeff, I'm sorry to tell you, we don't even know who's replacing Merkel. Besides the fact that there's an election in September and it looks good for the Christian Democrats, but it's not guaranteed that they will win the election, even as much as I would like this. And second of all, the Christian Democrats don't have a candidate to replace Merkel yet. What we voted for here in Germany was the new chairman of the party, but he didn't replace Merkel. She already had a replacement. That was Annegret Kramp-Karrenbauer, and she didn't run again. Now it's Armin Laschet. If you meant that one with as a party leader, Armin Laschet is the Prime Minister of North Rhine-Westphalia, here of my state. He's doing a really good job during the pandemic. He's in a coalition with the Liberal Democrats here. They only have got one vote majority, and they never had any problems in the years that they did that. It's since 2019. Oh, I'm really too long at home now in the lockdown. And if you were talking about the next chancellor, as I said, the candidates are not picked. The candidates people have in mind that will or might run in March for the candidacy for chancellor are Armin Laschet, of course, as the chairman of the party. He has every right to do that. But a lot of people and public polls are saying that a lot of people want Markus Söder. He's the Prime Minister of Bavaria. And both would be able to do that. With Armin Laschet, you would have someone who would stay on the general course of Angela Merkel, because he's quite similar in politics compared to Angela Merkel. And Markus Söder, well, he's Bavarian. No, the Christian Social Union, that's a sister party, is always a bit more, let's say, more conservative than the Christian Democratic Union, and the candidate Armin Laschet. So Söder is a bit more conservative than Laschet. Laschet would stay more on the Merkel path, but the Christian Democrats altogether will decide that in March, and only then we will know who will replace her. So I think both candidates could do it. I have my personal preferences, but I think both could do it and both could win the election. But let's wait and see. When that happened, you can ask the question again, and I will answer that. Then I have a quick look on the chat if there's anything new at the moment. 145 watching. It's quite nice. Yeah, I didn't mean every Bavarian is conservative, but Markus Söder is. And yeah, Eric Bischoff, some people think like you. Other people at the moment, especially in the polls, do think that he would do a very good job as a chancellor. I might disagree in some way there either, but it's still democracy, and the majority will decide. No, I'll take that one later. Oh no, we are at the fun questions already. Or do I have one? No, that's a fun question too, dude. No, I'll take another one from Mr. Goldkruse before I get to the more fun ones. Italy stands to get a lot of EU money to help with the corona and so on and so on. And they have the third largest gold reserve. Wouldn't it be fair that instead of giving Italy money, they should sell their gold into the European Central Bank to make a European gold reserve? Thank you very much for that one. No, I go to Jonas' super chat before. The reforms before new members should be taken up. So thank you, Wimbe, for doing that, for reminding me. So Jonas, you asked what reforms should be done before new members should be allowed to join the EU. First of all, there has to be the reform that has to do with the voting system. A lot of things have to be unanimous in the EU that make the EU as a whole a very complicated thing at the moment. We do have a parliament that is elected, and so they should be strengthened. Not the council should have such a strong stance, even if they represent the member states. But in the end, from my point of view, they have to give more power to Parliament before they grow the EU even further, and to change the voting system in the Council even further. They did that. Not every decision has to be unanimous anymore, but too many still are. And I think the combination of percentage of countries and percentage of inhabitants of the EU is a good combination and a good compromise there. But there are too many things where you still need a unanimous vote. And you can't let the EU grow more and more and have, to be sorry, the questions were asked because of a possible Scotland in the EU. Can they then veto the UK or the then Britain ever coming back into the EU? So that shouldn't be the case. That shouldn't happen. I mean, in the case of Great Britain, that will be a long time in the future and so on. But we are democracies. All the countries are democracies. And the EU is democratic, despite everything the Brexiteers say. But it can be more democratic than it is today. And that is the major reform we need. And we need more clear separation between the authorities of the nations and the authority of the European Union. It has to be made more clear where the borders between them are. And we need what is getting started now under the Portuguese presidency to work more on the social aspect of the EU. What competences does the EU have in case of social issues or health issues? The pandemic showed us, for example, that the EU should have some competences there. They don't have any. That's why probably there were some problems we wouldn't have had if they had those competences in a very sensible manner, of course. So that's the most important reforms I think have to be there before we let anybody else join. So then we go back to the Italy gold thing. Shouldn't Italy sell its gold to the European Union or to the European Central Bank? It might be fair to think that as you asked it, but that is not how the EU works. We don't force the member states to do anything that's their national part of rule. If they're in trouble, and there we're back at the solidarity I talked about before, if they're in trouble, especially in a pandemic, not because they made a lot of mess with their own budgets in the recent years, but because of such a pandemic, then we help them. They don't have to sell everything they have. You wouldn't ask your neighbor to do that. If you can help your neighbor, you will help them and not say sell everything your last bit you have, and then you can ask somebody for help. No, you would help them. And that's the same with the European Union. The countries who are able to help the others, help the others. There are strict rules on the GDPs, on the incomes and so ever, who is a net contributor, who is a net receiver, and so on, with many other things, and those rules apply. And you can't just change the rules because you don't like Italy having a gold reserve. And so, no, it wouldn't be fair. It would be not what the EU is about, what's in the EU treaties. And if we have to show something, and that's another part of what has to happen in the future, that we keep up those treaties. And that also goes for the 3% rule with debt and so on, which of course is broken by everyone at the moment because of the pandemic, but I mean in normal times. Financial crisis that we had years ago is one reason why you can break it, and the pandemic now of course is a reason why you can break it, but in normal times you should stick to those rules, and the EU needs better ways to deal with those members that don't stick to the rules. And then the classical question that I've seen on Max's channel as well a lot of time. Do you think a member of the EU could start UBI, that's Universal Basic Income? And if so, which one do you think would be most likely? When? Of course I can imagine a member of the EU to do that. But the question is when? And the question is after how many proper tests? There have been tests with UBI by countries, but not in a way that I would really talk about proper UBI. What Finland did was a test, and it was, of course, bringing us some data, but it was not UBI as I would imagine it. And as by the way, the Pirate Party here in Germany has promoted for quite some time, when they still were of any influence. They're gone now here in Germany. But a real UBI needs to be that you can really have the minimum to live on. And with the Finnish UBI wasn't the case. In Germany, there's a private association test coming up with 1,000 euros a month, where they are testing how the people will work when they receive this money without any conditions every month and so on. And so until there isn't a proper test, like for example, the chief of a drugstore chain here in Germany, he's I don't know, multimillionaire, but he is promoting UBI, by the way. And he's promoting a test like I said it. If there's no the country that does this test properly, with an amount people can live off, without any conditions, and without time limit, and they just have a look into it during its running, how do the people behave that receive it, while the people know they can keep it all their life. That country will be the first to do it if that test is successful, but at the moment I don't see any country do this, no. Then there's Amadeus again, and I talked about the Bavarian Prime Minister recently, and that's more a fun question, I guess. Is there a chance of Bavarian independence before 2100? I know it's very far away, but try to make a guess to the best of your ability. Bavarian independence, there's always a chance for them doing it, but they would be stupid to do so. They are a rich state of Germany, and they are a rich state of Germany because not only Bavaria as a state of Germany is a member of the European Union, they do inter-German trade quite a lot and stuff like this. No, it makes absolutely no sense for Bavaria to leave. And then I have one from Son of Viking. That's not a joke one, but you wrote me such an essay. that is really hard to pick out the question with everyone to understanding that one. And it's about the Northern Ireland Protocol and of course the Article 16 thing and stuff like that. You asked what can the EU do to respond to those misunderstandings that were there. First of all, I disagree with you about the misunderstandings. The EU knew exactly well what they are getting into in that case when they negotiated the Northern Ireland Protocol. They knew it is a very delicate and problematic situation with Ireland and Northern Ireland. But they had to find the least dangerous way to deal with it when Northern Ireland is taken out of the EU by Brexit. They are not any miracle workers that can take the whole trouble in Northern Ireland away that was there decades ago, and as we saw now, the emotions are still there on that topic. And that's why they brought up the solution we have now, and that's why later on they discussed the backstop with Theresa May, which, by the way, would have brought less trouble than we have now. But the House of Commons decided against it. Theresa May lost her post as Prime Minister over the backstop, and Boris Johnson didn't want the backstop. Boris Johnson wanted the thing with the border in the Irish Sea. And nobody, I don't want a hard border in Ireland, on the island of Ireland, and nobody with a little bit of sense does want a hard border on the island of Ireland. But there is no perfect solution for that. And even reunification wouldn't solve that problem, because then there are still the unionists living there. The problem would just shift from the UK to the Republic of Ireland. And so there is no perfect solution, and the EU did everything they could. And naming the triggering of Article 16 in that moment when commissioners did that, the timing was a complete mistake. But we always have to keep in our mind that the time might come, especially with the behavior of that Tory government, that this article has to be triggered. And so it's not completely unrealistic that this ever will have to happen. And on the other way, they have to deal with it now. Of course, there will not be renegotiations on the Northern Ireland Protocol. It took long enough to get there. And Maroš Šefčovič is going to London this week to discuss the problems, but I don't see any renegotiations on that treaty. Because what other solution would you want to use? If anybody has a better solution than the backstop or the current solution in the Northern Ireland Protocol, let me know. You probably will get a Nobel Prize for that one. But then I tried to answer it as well as I could, son of Viking. Well, let's have another fun one then. If you had a time machine, do you think you could have stopped Brexit? Keep it in mind that you are just armed with your wisdom and wit. First of all, no. Wisdom and wit had nothing to do with the referendum. I'm sorry. The whole thing was decided by populism. I mean, I've never seen so many lies in my life in any political campaign until that date. Then Trump came, but that's another point. But to that day, I've never seen more lies in a political campaign that I followed, to be honest. And wisdom and wit wouldn't have helped there. The problem that was in that campaign on the Remain side was they always try to show what all bad happens if they leave the EU. They should have focused on the advantages of being in the EU instead of what the Brexiteers then call Project Fear. You could dismiss that easily with just saying, oh, that's Project Fear. They needed a more positive approach, and the Leave side could do this. It was almost everything was a lie, but it was a positive approach of the whole situation. And that's the problem with that. And without bringing proof from nowadays, all the articles, visual proof and videos and stuff like this with me to the time before the referendum when I time travel, there wouldn't be anything that would have stopped that. And dude, yeah, I watched Father Ted, but that's not a question I will make up big here. So let's have a quick look again. 180 I've seen just now. That's quite nice for just a casual Sunday live stream on a small channel like mine. I really enjoy to have you here. We are online now for a little bit more than an hour. If somebody of you still has a question, I have a few minutes left, I guess. But until then, I just want to tell you, I will try to keep this up on Sundays at this time. I chose that point of time because I see that this is the moment when politics most probably won't interfere with doing that. I just saw some questions, if you haven't seen those videos of mine, to know this. I'm the deputy district mayor of my district here, and I am a district councillor. And that's why during the week I didn't set up live streams, because in normal times, almost every evening, I'll be somewhere involved in politics. And even now, we have video conferences in that time and so on, and we have to talk about the budget next week Saturday, for example, the whole city budget. That's 1.5 billion euros. We are discussing what bills we will table for that one. That will be decided in March. And so even Saturdays are not safe. And usually Sundays is the best time. That's why I picked the Sunday. And as YouTube told me, 6 p.m. CET is the time where most of my viewers are online. That's how we got to this time of date. Cotton Cat asked a question. I'm sorry, even if they behave like this, who's your least favorite Sith of the Common Chamber? Some might behave like this, but there's definitely no Sith. They don't have the special abilities. No, they don't. We'll have to go a little bit back for a second. Das Brexit-Wort zum Sonntag. Yeah, the Wort zum Sonntag, the word to the Sunday, is a old traditional thing on German public television. Late Saturday evenings, there's always one priest of either confession holding a small speech on television for a certain topic, and that's always called the word for Sunday. Denmark, thanks for your super chat. Great channel, it's very informative. Thank you very much. I really appreciate this. And I'm trying to get you all the information I can. As I said, I'm working always one day ahead, because there will be politics, and someday there will be more teaching from me again. But at the moment I try to make as many videos as I can on different topics, because I always find new topics. How high is the snow in Münster? It really depends. It's really stormy as well. On my balcony, and as the same on the street here, it's partly 50 centimeters, so half a meter. And a friend of mine just before the live stream sent me a photo of his balcony, and because of the wind, all the windows and doors are completely covered with snow. He can't open the door anymore, and can't see anything on the outside. So it's very dark and it's flat now because of that. Do you think that Johnson will reach a FTA with Biden within the next 4 years? Valerio Tarantino asked that. No. I can't imagine. Johnson made a lot of mistakes and a lot of weird things, but I really can't believe that the Parliament in the UK will allow an FTA that's so disadvantageous for the UK as you would get it in 4 years. You need more time to negotiate a complicated thing like this. The EU was negotiating with the USA. They put it on hold because of Trump, but they will continue negotiating that one, and it will take longer overall. And that has nothing to do with the EU, except the fact that the EU is thorough on those things, and they want to avoid problems because of FTAs. That's the other problem with always keeping the window shut because of the noise from the outside. There's a very dry air in here in my studio. No, but the USA is a big economic power, and you need time to make a proper FTA with a country like this. And to find a compromise that is good for both sides is hard in cases like this. Then Amadeus asked, do you think Biden would openly express support for Scottish independence? No, I don't think so. If he's as reasonable as I think he is, he will stay out of internal affairs of the UK. I also don't think that the EU should do this. It is, nevertheless, if it's two nations, or it's one nation separating from their club, so to speak, it is an internal affair of the UK. And the governments and official institutions shouldn't get involved with that one. But now, I just want to have one last word, because I just saw it in between again that someone said, I like how you're dressed today. Yep. If you've seen it probably on screen by Nightbot, but just have a look at my new merch. I'm also sending this, I'm sending some mugs and stuff to my friends in the UK, by the way. I asked them before, and if they get beaten up if they have this, but they still want this. And when the shipping is more easy to do so, because as I said in some of my videos, gifts you can send up to the price of 42 euros without getting them into trouble. And so I'll have a close look on how much I put in one package before I send it to my friends there. But I will do this as soon as it's possible again. I don't know, Nick, if you've been online today. I haven't seen it, but you know the mugs are coming. And so just have a look. I made some more and some new ones, especially for the Scotland issue as well. I kept some designs back, of course, because I've got one running now, and I'll continue to do those videos. So there's still time, for example, for my I told you so. But for now, I want to thank you for being there. Thank you for those super chats. Thank you, Conservator, for having a little bit of look on the chat for when I couldn't do this. I know I set up a strict Nightbot, so Dano, if you got hit by him, sorry, I have a look at it again, because there was a comment that shouldn't have been deleted. But it's my second live stream. I'm glad I can do this now for you, and I will do this again. But for now, I want to thank you for joining, and you'll see my next video at 9 p.m. anyway, if you want. It's the next one is published, it's programmed already. And I'll see you in my next video. Viel Spaß und auf Wiedersehen. Ah, ah.